Hello. We will begin shortly. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to share my disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I am not a spiritual master. I'm not an expert of any kind. I'm just a country pumpkin sharing his theoretical perspective for entertainment purpose only. The purpose of this video is to share the theory in making the 4 basic Gans. Before going into details, I like to share the big picture of why are we making Gans in the first place, so that we can put things into perspective, so we can see the bigger picture of why we are making zinc, CO2, copper, shape 3, and we have a better understanding of the totality. With KF Vietnamese, Gans is a tool to help us understand about ourselves, the universe, and how things work. The teachings brought by Mr. Keshe is a tool. Even without the teachings from Mr. Keshe, we will have others, means and method, because we are looking for the same thing. We're looking for answers. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? So within that quest, each of us who join either Keshe Foundation or KF Vietnamese have a deeper seeking, longing for an answer deep inside. Gans is just a tool that we use on that journey. Gans technology given by Mr. Keshe is only a small part of the teachings. We can divide it into 3 parts. One is Gans technology, as we are talking today. The second part is Keshe plasma technology. Gans technology is a part of Keshe plasma technology because Keshe plasma technology encompasses the McGrath, the paint pads, paint pen, all those things. And Gans technology is just the energy we use to apply, to put on those units, on those devices, to help enhance the energy, the effects. On top of all that, the main teaching, the bulk of 80+%, is the soul teachings, the structure of the universe, the soul, our placement, how the creation works, and everything. It's a vast chunk of information. For those that are new and have not looked deeply into the teachings, they might think that, Keshe plasma technology or Keshe plasma science and technology is all just about Gans. No, it's not just all about Gans. Gans is only a small percentage, few percentage of the technology, of the information that is shared by Moraine Keshe. And within the foundation of the teachings, we have the first 3 books, the universal order of creation of matters, the structure of light, and origin of the universe. Those 3 books provide the bulk of the foundation for all the teachings involved, the soul teachings later on and right now that he's sharing. When I was sharing the 4 basic Gans theory, or the theory of making Gans, early in the week on Wednesday, we have red circle, blue circle, white circle, whatever they want to call themselves, come into the KF Vietnamese group and start causing trouble. What they do is they feed on people insecurity, doubt, lack of understanding, unwilling to search and look deeper into things, to cause trouble, because They've been paid to stop the spread of this knowledge. So what I'm sharing to help people understand, to have your own experiential knowing, so that you're not being easily manipulated by other people with hidden agendas. What I forgot to share yesterday, the other day, when I was sharing the theory in Gans making in Vietnamese, is that Gans making is just a small part. When we try to make Gans, there is a bigger picture to look at. That is a battle against oneself, to conquer oneself. It is about stepping beyond our limitation, about our comfort level, upon our fear, to conquer our fear, to conquer the unknown, our uncertainty, our doubts. Making Gans is just a tool for us to come into self-mastery. It's a tool to test us in our resolution and our desire to overcome our weaknesses. Making Gans is a tool for us to overcome ourselves. Because when we think of Gans technology, we come up all different excuses of self-limitation. We're limiting ourselves by saying, this is a man job. This is for professional. This is for expert. I don't know enough. I don't know anything about chemical reaction. I don't know anything. So the thoughts in our mind that come up, they start limiting us. All this fear, doubt, will this work? What will this do? Will I make it correctly? So all those things come up, and by just, doesn't matter how it turns out, just by stepping into it, just by doing the process of going through the process of making Gans, we conquer ourselves, we conquer our fear, we conquer our limiting thought patterns, we conquer our emotion. The biggest conquest, the biggest achievement in making Gans is not getting the product of, oh, this Gans for my health, for agriculture, for energy. What the biggest challenge, what the biggest accomplishment, success is, we conquer our fear. We step into an unknown and explore the unlimited possibilities. Doesn't matter with Gans technology we're stepping into, or any other things in life, new job, new adventure, someplace new, relationship. It is about able to live from the heart and explore what we want, do what we want, without this limitation of all this fear, this reason our mind limiting us. So Gans, the process of making Gans is just not about getting the end product. It's about the process of self-journey, self-mastery, overcoming ourselves, overcoming our weaknesses. And more importantly, Gans is a tool. It's a tool to help us achieve what we want. When making Gans, the most important thing is our intention. What am I making the Gans for? That intention will amplify the effect of the Gans, just like when we have GMO seeds. GMO seeds are a seed with another enveloped in a modification. We call it an energy, an extra layer around. In Keshe plasma science, we call it another field, energy field, a graph around it. Just like an onion at the core and at different layers. Depending on the different how many modifications you have, how many layers surrounding this core. So generic GMO or genetically modified seeds have living layers around it, enhancing it. Just like when we set our intention for making Gans, we create an energy field around the ants to enhance its effect. So that's why when we use CO2, the Gans technology on GMO seed, it drains all those energy, excess energy, all those layers around the original seed to take it to original state, because those seeds are made from amino acid, which cohen, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. We add up to 43. CO2 Gans, which is carbon and oxygen, add up to 44. So the basic law of the universe is the strong gives to the weak. The CO2 will balance the seed or drain all this excess energy, all those modifications around, take it slowly back to the original state. That's how Gans technology works in reversing GMO. And that's the same process where our intention, we put an extra energy field around the Gans to make it form effective. So the Gans technology itself is effective, but once we have our clear intention of what we want to achieve, with an extra package of information to enhance the effect. I want to help to heal myself. I want to help my parents, my friends, my family. This extra energy is more powerful than you think. Now that we have the basic understanding out of the way, let's go back into the practical application. So what are Gans? Gans is gas in nanostates. It is a new state of matter introduced by Keshe. Originally, we have 3 states of matter. We have the solid, liquid, gas. Now with Gans technology, Keshe introduced nano and Gans. Gans is gas in nanostate. Nano could be nanomaterial, as in when we have a piece of material, like for example here, I'll show we have, this is a piece of copper, in matter state copper. So when we add energy to this copper, not so much, just enough that we push the molecules, the atoms apart enough, but it's still connected to one another, that is nanomaterial. It has a special properties. If we put too much energy into this copper state, it goes to liquid. We give it more energy, it goes to gas. So by applying the right amount of energy to this copper, we turn it into nano, meaning when the atom in matter state is like this closely connected. When we give some extra energy, the magnetic gravitational field, the energy pushes farther apart. We widen the gap between that two. So that makes it into nano material. Nanomaterial has 2 main properties. One is superconductor, meaning energy goes right through nanomaterial really fast without slowing down, without loss of energy. That's number 1. Number 2 is insulator, meaning inside this copper wire, we can have 1,000 degrees Celsius, but outside, it can be very cool to the touch. That is being the super insulator property, much better than plastic. Normally we have around the copper. Another important factor is that because it's an insulator, if we connect this to 222 or 220 or 120 volt electricity, and we touch this copper when it in matter state before it becomes nanomaterial, we can get electrocuted. Because this is nanomaterial, become a super insulator, we can touch this material and nothing happens because it is an insulator without being electrocuted. That is the 2 main properties of nanomaterial. Gans itself is also nanomaterial, but it frees itself from this solid material. It breaks apart free out in standalone atom molecule. It's like a little tiny sun radiating energy out. There's a little tiny sun radiating energy out. The type of energy it radiates depends on the material, what type of Gans it is. When we have solid material like this copper wire that you see right here, everything is energy. Everything is consciousness. Consciousness is energy in different level. So when we have this thing as matter form, the energy it radiates out is very low. I mean, it's not that far. When you put in nanomaterial, the energy, the field it radiates out goes further. When in Gans state, the energy now just not within a few centimeters or a few inches from the matter state. Now it goes into meters. It can go easily from this thing. When we put it into Gans states, this is what Gans look like. This is zinc CO2 Gans. It can go easily 3 to 5 meters. In American terms, about 15 feet. Those I can see aura energy, you can easily see where it is. The special properties with that is sorry. the consciousness level here is very low. I was interrupted. The energy level for Gans is far. You can feel it, but that is a different topic I cover later on. Right now, just briefly explaining the difference between just matter state, nano, and Gans, and how energy radiates. This is knowledge to be expanded upon what we know before. Before, we see this stuff for granted and we did not have any understanding. Now, because of the introduction of Gans technology, it opened our mind, our perspective. We shift the things to look at what we have not noticed before. This is an addition to the knowledge that we have. So the four basic Gans we have are, the top one is zinc. We use ZnO2, which in chemical reaction we call zinc dioxide, but it's not zinc dioxide. It's just the terminology we use just to represent zinc Gans. We use interchangeably, but people, when they first see the symbol or zinc Gans or see ZnO2 or ZnO, they think, that is an oxide. It's more than an oxide. Oxide, there's a different energy level. The basic oxide that we see from rust, from chemical reaction and salt water, the energy level, let's say from 1 to 10, is around 1 or 2. When we have it in more energetic state, it can go to 4, 5, 6. When it's totally energized, when we create an environment where through the reactors with Gans technology, it can be 6, 7, 8. So the energy level is different, which we can see and compare through or photography. We can see how far it goes. We can go a spectroscopy test to see the energy. There's a lot of ways we can test and see the energy within this Gans. So we have zinc, which helps to balance the emotion, because our mind, our brain is made from zinc, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and a few other things, but mainly that. So zinc helps balance our emotion. Then we have next copper. Copper is what our skin right here, our meat is made of. Our meat is made from amino acid and copper. Because we all know that we have a body, our eyes, fruits and veggies, but we know the three states of matter. But we don't realize what is it. Is it solid, liquid, gas? But with Gans technology, we're able to identify our body, our cells, the fruits we eat, the veggies. They are in the Gans state. Gans state has electromagnetic field, so it works from field interactions. So it takes what we know to a new level of understanding. So that's basically with copper Gans, because our body is made from the meat. When our body is made from copper, when we cut ourselves and we use a liquid plasma, you see this little liquid on top of this bottle right here. We use a liquid and we rub against our arm where we have cut, and it heals a lot faster. We feel less pain. That's something we can experience firsthand. We don't need someone to tell us what it can do. We can experience firsthand when we have calluses and swollen, sunburn, all those things. And when we use Gans copper liquid plasma, when we apply just the liquid on top, then we can see the immediate reaction, the hot, warm, tingling sensation in our skin, and we feel less painful. When I was working before, when I was coiling coppers, I have a lot of calluses on my hand. Uses those things when you have water within your callus. It takes several days before it to dry up or have to pop. But when I apply the copper Gans, within a few hours, the pain's gone. Within a day, the callus disappeared. To speed up the healing reaction within our body. The main second property of copper is it's antibacterial. It eliminates all the germs of bacteria. Doesn't matter, good, bad, the ugly, the handsome, gone. And that can be done through testing in a lab. We can have the culture bacteria, we put copper, liquid plasma of copper in it and see what happened. That can be easily confirmed in a scientific environment within a lab. We have Miss Mai says she sprayed Gans at Niagara Falls yesterday. Great, share the love with people. So when we use this Gans technology when we spread what's called metakesh peace. We go out spraying, throwing liquid plasma around. We create the energetic field. Remember, I said before that we have the liquid plasma, the Gans, created 3 to 5 meters of radius. So when we plasmify an environment, whether at our home, our farm, a pond, a lake, it radiates the energies out. And so all those within that area receive the energy to help to bring them up back to balance. If we put zinc and CO2 into the environment, then anybody come in contact, whether it's a fish, the cat, the dog, the trees, the microbes, it gets balance, meaning it balances the emotion and the physicality. The zinc for the emotion, CO2 for the physicality. As I said before, our amino acid has a cohen, which is carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. When you look at the atomic mass within the table, it adds up to 43. CO2 add up to 44. And just by natural law of the universe, stronger gives to the weak. Then it's balanced when our amino acid, meaning it becomes unbalanced, meaning it loses energy. Then when it receives the energy from CO2, it go back to being balanced again. And that's how we create a dome of peace. When we put the energy around the environment from one area A, area B, area C, all those things connect together to create a bigger dome of peace. Then everybody in that environment is feeling happier because the emotion is being balanced, the physicality is being balanced. And when we have enough areas, it cover up the whole planet. So when we change the environment, we change people along. Because we don't need to waste time convincing people what is good, what is not, because everybody is their own journey of self-development at their own level of understanding. We cannot force something on to people. What we can do is help change the environment to help make the life easier and help them to shift indirectly along with it. So that is one of the greatest benefits for Gans technology, is for us to be able to dictate and control our environment, to make our life easier, a better living environment. Then let's go back to we have stage 3, the last one. Stage 3 is an energy, just like sugar, but in a plasma form. When we drink coffee and tea, we get that jitter, that feedback from the caffeine. When we take CH3, it gives us that energetic boost without all that drawback from the caffeine. But for some people like me, when I drink coffee or tea, I have to go to the bathroom to urinate every half an hour, That's quite often. It's very annoying. At least half an hour I have to go once. That's why I don't drink stimulants, because it's not good for the body. It has all those side effects, and it keeps me up all night long. But with Gans technology for CH3, we get that energy boost without that being sleepless nights or having to go to the bathroom every so often. And this is something that we can experience firsthand for ourselves on the 4 basic Gans. That is just the function of the Gans. Making the Gans is very easy because it's an existing technology that we know so far from chemical reaction, but which with the Red Circle and other people keep pounding about that Gans technology is just all about chemical reaction, but they have not expanded the mind out to see the value beyond that. We all know when we do chemical reaction, we have precipitate. We all take that for granted. Yes, it's a precipitate, but we never take it beyond what does that precipitate, other property it has. What is it? Does it have energy? It never even occurred to our mind. And to Mr. Keshe, bring it to our perspective that precipitate has an energetic field, and we can feel that thing through personal interaction. We can either drink this thing directly. We can put a cup of water next to it, let it charge for a little bit, drink it, and see how it feels. And through that experience, we can see energy has field plasma that radiates out into the environment. This is experiential knowing, first-hand experience, where we can test, confirm for ourselves, not through third party. So with this Gans technology, we can go back into, okay, how do I make this thing? I will share just one today. you can go into Vietnamese dot space. You can see the blueprint for the 4 thing. I explained briefly the 4, but I go in detail for CO2 and zinc because that is the main one. We're going to explore first the zinc and CO2 Gans. So how do we make that? For example, we have a container like this. Any container, plastic or glass, depends on our preference. Within that within that container, we make a salt water solution. The salt water solution, let's say we make, because the most popular one right now is 1 cup. Let me repeat that. Is that, well, I guess I can name that thing without being banned by YouTube. Well, this I'll give it a different name, just in case, because YouTube, when I said that name before, it censor my video completely. There's certain terms, certain things you cannot say on YouTube to avoid censorship, because people don't want us to have this knowledge because they know what it can do. So this one Gans we have, I show you how to make it very easy. We use 15% salt solution. If you have 1 liter of liquid, 1 liter container, let's say a jar, a mason jar, 1 liter jar, we have 150 milliliter of distilled water. When in Western countries, getting distilled water is very easy. Then you have 150 milligram of salt. That can be just sodium chloride, or you have a natural sea salt with all the minerals in it. Now that we have the solution, we have 2 main guys that you can see right here. One guy is copper. The other guy is zinc. And we put it in a solution and connect it directly like this. This is the most simplest form of making zinc and CO2 Gans. So then we put it in a solution in a container, in that 1 liter container with 15% salt. Because we have zinc is 65 on our atomic table, atomic mass, and we have copper, which is 63. When you nano copper, it loses 5% of the atomic mass. So we become 59. 65 minus 59, you have 6. The atomic mass for carbon is 12. 6 neutrons and 6 protons. All we need to do is create 6 neutrons. Then that is enough force to drag the whole entire carbon out from the environment, the solution. So when we have this in a container, and it create the fuel plasma of carbon, which is 6, which is enough to pull in the carbon. It pulls from the environment, from the water, and from the container, because plastic is CH. This plastic container is a CH bond, so it takes the carbon from the container. Then when it gets that carbon, it oxidized, becomes CO2. Then you get the white stuff, is what you see right here, the white stuff down the bottom. And that is the CO2 Gans. But it's not completely just CO2, because within this reaction, we have a lot of other things. We just call it zinc CO2 Gans for simplicity. But within the fuel interaction, you have the zinc and the copper, which I just explained. Then you have the zinc and the salt in the water solution. You have the copper and zinc interacting with the salt and all the other thing in it. So you create a lot of things in it. That's why when you do the spectroscopy test, you come out with a list of items, just not CO2 or zinc, because it's a lot of fuel interaction right there. We just refer to zinc and CO2 for simplicity, because that is the main thing. When we make that, the zinc also oxidizes in the water, creating more zinc, because when we connect this way, we're not setting any filter, and there's a lot of energy go through. So because zinc breaks down faster than copper and salt, and we have a lot of zinc oxide, but in a more energetic states, it's closer to what we call zinc Gans. And that's what zinc in here balances our emotion. When we create it like this way, where we have the wire directly twisted, connected, we create about 80% zinc, and 20% CO2 when we have nothing to filter the flow of energy. When we put an LED light here, I don't know if I have an LED here anymore. We have, well, the basic LED, like a green LED, it filtered the energy out. And we have, when it filtered the energy out, whether it's an LED or just another piece of copper in between, wood, anything, then it will increase the CO2 to 80% and the zinc to 20%. It reverses the process because we have now more time to create the carbon to oxidize the environment, and we filter the energy out to a certain spectrum. It doesn't take everything from the environment. I think I broke my my LED. Oh, here it is. This is the green LED. According to Marine Cash, green is a little bit better than the blue, but the green and blue has better flow. And you have these two legs right here, the anode and cathode, or negative and positive. So we connect the short, people mind perspectively, short is negative, negative is black. It's just the mentality of people. So to remember that short is negative, negative is black. Then the long is positive, positive go to zinc. So when you create with that connection with this LED, positive go to the zinc, negative go to the nano copper, then that is the proper connection to create the CO2 Gans. For your experiment, you can also reverse the process and see how it turns out. Just don't take my word for it. Connect it both ways to see how it turns out. When you connect a power supply, like a battery, power unit, then whatever is connected at the end of the positive terminal will wear out a lot faster. You create more Gans at the end of it. So when we use like a power supply that I have right here, this is this power converter you can buy online. It goes up to 24 volts. It reduces 220 or 120, depends where you live. I live in Vietnam, so it goes take 220 down to 1 volt to 24 volt, and we can use that to speed up the process of making Gans. The more voltage or the more amp, the faster the Gans will come out, but the quality is not that great as you do. When we do naturally, get a little time to grow and make, the quality is a lot better. When we use a power source like the power unit or the battery, it comes out a lot faster, but you reduce the quality of it, the energetic field of it. You have more oxide than Gans. So that is the drawback from having fast. And plus, when you do it slowly, like from when you have time for the amino acid to build up, when we put the thing in a liquid right here in the top, when we do through the small normal wire connection like this, within 1 week, 2 weeks, we have amino acid built up on the top. The fatty, oily layer on top, that is the amino acid layer. That thing is very important. For Gans to be most effective, we need to harvest that amino acid, put it aside, then we can use wash the Gans, then we can use it, add a tiny bit of amino acid, and it will make that connection. Because the amino acid create that connection bond to us, the animals, the plant, because we are all made of amino acid. Like carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen bond. So that amino acid create a connection for the Gans to interact with us on an energetic state much better. It enhances greatly the effect when we have that amino acid connection. So that's what people has been thrown away without realizing it. So that is very important to have and to save and to put aside when we wash the Gans. Depends on how, because we wash the Gans to remove the saltiness. When we have the salt, it irritates the back of our throat when we drink it. So when we wash it, depends on how thorough we wash the Gans. Could be 3 or 8 times, depends on our preference. But the purpose is to make the liquid less salty, not salty enough to irritate out the back of our throat, and we can use that. And every time we run out of the water, we just basically fill it up like we have right here, and just use the water on top. That's called a liquid plasma. When it runs out, we add more distilled water into it. There are other videos where I share 5 ways of using Gans. I might go over it briefly at the end, but right now, the basic things for people, normal people do, they drink in liquid plasma because they don't understand energy. They don't understand field plasma because they are just brand new to this field of spirituality, this science, this energy. It's very new. So they have to go through that experiential knowing, to that personal experience, to drinking, so that they know that it exists, how to interact with them. Once we have, when they're more comfortable and they do more experimenting, and they can see drinking is just one way of interacting with energy. Because when we drink, it goes through our body and it goes through our mind, because our mind filters out a lot of things. I can't feel energy. This is not energetic. This is not energy plasma. So our mind limits what we can receive. It's not some man out there, some group out there that limit us. It's our thinking that is limiting what we can be, what we receive. In energy wise, it also limited how we perceive and react to the world around us because of our mental perception, the conditioning that we brought up, the emotion, everything. Filter. It's like the color glass of how we view life, our perspective. So when we remove those limitations, we shift our perspective in life. And to that, what part of Gans technology, what I share is, it helps us to not just to balance our mind and body, it helps us to shift from our perspective in life. Because when we are emotionally stable, we're able to see life from a clearer perspective, not being dragged around by our emotion, from knee-jerk reaction from our emotion and from our mental mind, from the environment that they trigger us. So we are no longer easily triggered. When we're not easily triggered, we're able to step back and look at life from the observer perspective and make a logical analysis. And based on that information, we choose a proper action instead of just automatically react to things in life. And when we are emotionally stable, our consciousness expands. We're no longer contracting. When we're in fearful, hate, anger, all those negative emotions, it's contract our consciousness. It's contract our perception and our awareness, lower our frequency. So when we open up, when we are much calmer, it's expand our consciousness, our awareness, our frequency up. We're able to see a lot more things. And that way I can share in my another video where the map of consciousness shows how our emotion, our state of mind affect our frequency and our view on life. So when we are emotionally stable with Gans technology, it raises our frequency up to a certain level where we can even see something beyond our current perception. When we are contracted like this, we can only see things within this range. So when we open our mind, expand our frequency, raise our frequency, expand our awareness, we're able to tap in, tune in to a much more broader range, wider area, more information that we can see. We can see a bigger picture, bigger things. So that way, one of the things that I share with people that people experience to firsthand when we use Gans technology is that through time, we transform on a personal level to the point that when we look back, we don't realize how much we have changed. Because when we're in the moment, it seems normal. But when we look back in retrospective, let's say 6 months from now, a year from now, we realize how much we have changed, the way we look, our perspective on life, how we see things. Because as we take in more energy, whether that's zinc, copper, CO2, it put into called maturity of the soul. The more energy we take in, the faster we mature. On an everyday level, we take in energy every day. I breathe in, I'm taking in energy. I eat food every day. I'm taking in energy. Basically, everything we do take in, from our eating, breathing, we take in energy. We accumulate energy at a steady pace. That's how our soul matures. That's how we accumulate energy to raise up our frequency. But now that we can create more energy as a higher level directly, that will increase our intake of energy so that we mature faster, our soul expands faster. And because when we start more emotionally stable, we remove the limitation of mind. When we remove the limitation of mind, our frequency raises, so we mature a lot faster. This is called spiritual awakening. They call enlightenment. Enlightenment is getting rid of all those limitations that we have, all this limited thinking. I'm not smart enough. I'm not handsome. I'm not pretty. I don't know. I need a master. All those things combined with our fear. fear of failure, fear of people judging me, fear of all the things. All that fear is limiting us down, suppressing our consciousness. So when we are emotionally stable, we have to let go. We have to face those feelings. When let go of those feelings, then our consciousness expands, our frequency raise up, then our soul mature a lot faster. So when we remove all those limitations with our mind, our emotion, we are able to tune in, tap in, and able to take more energy in from the environment, from the universe, not being filtered. Because we are being, our mind, our emotion is filtering so many things out that is limiting. So that's why people go to spiritual, we call cultivation, go to monastery, go to temple, because when they go through those things, when they calm down, they look at life in retrospective, then they start to remove all those filters they have, all those repressed emotion that let go. Now they're able to tune in, tap in, and take more energy in from the universe. Whereas in our everyday life, we're stressed about the pandemic that we have. We're stressed about not having enough food for the next day, the bills for next month. All those worries in life lower our frequency, suppress our consciousness, and it's limited us from able to intake more energy than normal. So by going to monastery, going to solitude, going to high up in the mountains where we step away from things, then we have less worries to think about, less, when we face our demons, our shadows, and all those limitations we remove, we're able to absorb more. We become more humble. Being humble means not being arrogant, not being pushing things back, letting things come in. That means we lower our frequency down. We follow the universal laws where the stronger give to the weak. When we arrogance, we think we all that, then our fuel is out. We push out. We're not taking in anything. So when we become humble, meaning we lower our frequency down to the level that we take around, like I don't know. So when we say I don't know, you're able to learn because you're more open-minded. You lower your frequency down by being humble, then you're able to intake a lot of more things around. You learn from people around you. You learn from the environment instead of saying being arrogant, like I know everything, or you don't know anything, but you don't acknowledge that, or you accept something you don't know as fact. That is the difference. That is the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is accepting something we don't know as fact. Spirituality is seeking what we do not know. As a knowledge seekers, we always looking for information, always validating everything we know constantly. Is what I know correct? It's a constant validation process, never accepting as for granted or written in stone. As a knowledge seekers, as a conscious being, we always question ourselves. We also always improving and seeking and expanding our mind, our consciousness. And that's where Gans technology come into place. It helps us during the process of self-development, self-mastery. It helps us during our process of spiritual evolution. By helping us, bring us to balance in this time of chaos. In this time of chaos, we have to become centered. It's very easy to say to be centered, but when we're faced with fear and uncertainty, we can use a little help. And this is where zinc and CO2 come into play. It helps us to calm down and able to deal with life easier, and not be in a panic state like a chicken without its head. And that's how Gans technology helps us on a personal level in our spiritual evolution and our biological evolution. Then we have, I guess that should be enough for now. Then we go back to the other Ganses. Where I just explained right now, that's a long tangent on CO2, which is in zinc, which is the main things. And we also have copper and copper Gans. So you have nano copper and you have regular copper. That create copper Gans. And it's great for many things. Disinfecting, processing wounds, healing the skin, disinfecting water. Then you have CO2. CO2 is a good decontamination. Charcoal deodorizes things. CO2 is the plasma state of charcoal. It deodorizes things. It drains energies from things like cancer. Cancer is an energy blockage. CO2 is an energy weaker than cancer. It drains all the energy from the cancer, and then the cell return back to normal, and it's gone. So that's one way to drain cancer. But if we look at diseases, even though CO2 can drain the cancer cells, but it does not solve the root of the problem. Why did that cancer cell exist in the first place? It is because I'm tired of living. My perspective on life, because the free will choice that I made that put myself in that condition. So those diseases like cancer and heart attack or whatever, diabetes, it is a way, a feedback from our soul, letting us know that we're not living in alignment with our soul. And that's an opportunity for us to shift our perspective, our way of life. When we start to shift our perspective on way of life, we don't need anything, whether it's zinc, CO2, Gans technology, herbal, Western medicine, the disease will be gone because it is a shift in perspective, because we are the one that create that in the first place, because we create an environment for it to thrive. When we disassemble the environment, the disease go away. We fix at the root cause because of the free will choice that we made, because of my perspective, because I've been repressing all my emotion within myself for so many years because I did not speak my truth. Because when I do not speak my truth, I give away my power. I become a victim of life instead of because of a master of my environment. When I have that perspective, and I repress everything in my mind, where I store that memory, store that drama, that the repressed emotion, I store it in my kidney, I get kidney cancer. I store it in my lung, I get lung cancer. So that cancer, where it is where we store those repressed emotion, where we're not living in honest with ourselves. We're not telling what people how we think. We leave it inside. And after a while, it becomes a ticking bomb. And cancer does not happen overnight. It happens through a very long time when we're having all this negativity. I'm tired of life. I don't want to live. I don't want to be here anymore. I can't take it anymore. When we have the thought, we communicate directly to our body react accordingly. Okay, I will process that command. I will self-terminate. That's why we have positive thinking alter our health, because it tells ourselves how to act and how to behave. It does not distinguish between positive and negative emotion. It's just it's just a command. It does not distinguish the difference. When we have positive moods, our health is great because our body act accordingly. We're in negative mood, our body go to shut down. So when we shift our perspective, shift our way of life, and we realize what we've been doing all our life is not working out, when we start thinking, when we start thinking and living differently, then we take the disease out from the root cause at the bottom. It never occurs again. If we use like Eastern medicine, Western medicine, or even Gans technology, yes, we can take that cancer away, but it will come back within 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It might not come back as a cancer. It may come back as an accident, as a heart attack, as a diabetes, because the problem's still there, because we are the one that created it. We're just buying some time. We're living on borrowed time because we not fix the root of the problem. We just fix the matter state, the part of the outside. That's why when we have Gans technology, it's not a miracle solution. That's why when Mr. Keshe gift enhancement unit, we have to get the intention. Have the intention. Why am I stepping into that enhancement unit? Why am I using this Gans technology? What is my intention? Is my intention to heal myself, or am my intention to have this sickness so that people can sympathize with me, so I can take the sympathy from people? I'm vampiring energy from people, from the sympathy. When you are sick, you get attention. Attention is a way of sucking energy from other people. That's being a true vampire, energy vampire. You're taking the pity from people. You're living all that thing. So that's why Mr. Keshe mentioned over 90% of the diseases we have right now is from imbalance in emotion. So when we balance the emotion, the diseases go away. Half battle, but we also have to shift our perspective, shift our way of doing things in life. Then it will go for good. Just shifting up, balancing our emotion is just half the battle. We have to shift our perspective and way of life and the way we do things, how we interact with the environment. I hope that helps explain about, so that people let go of that savior complex, because people all have this savior complex where I have to heal this person, I have to heal that person, I have to go save the world because everybody being sick. Sick is not a problem. Trying to save the world is a problem. That's a sickness. Because when we understand that everything, there's a reason why for things are, if we look at life as a learning environment, every situation we go through is a learning environment. Then when we realize from that situation, the universe is trying to teach me something. What is it teaching me in that situation? Whether it's through illness, through relationship problem, through job, once you realize what the universe or what your soul is trying to teach you to learn, and voila, that situation will never come back again. If it does, it's easy for you to do the second time. If you keep going from relationship to relationship, for example, and you don't realize that you're being a doormat, you're giving your power away for that narcissist, and you're being, because you're empathic, you're being, because they're taking advantage of you, because you have not learned to set your boundary, to take your power back. Doesn't matter if boyfriend number 1, boyfriend number 100, or husband number 100, because you not have learned a lesson to take your power back and set your boundary. And that's what is your soul trying to teach you. And when you go to that many life lessons like that, you not have learned, you're going to develop diseases because you're living inconsistent with your soul. Your disease is a feedback from your soul saying that you're not living in alignment with your true self, with your heart. You're giving your power away. It's time to take it back. Phương Minh said, my mother is infected with HCV. A virus is an energy package. She said, and she would use Gans to help her. Yes, virus is an energy package, and you can drain that energy package just the way you drain the cancer. And there's a specific way to make the Gans. I will write in the chat, but I'll say it anyway. 1 cup, 1 life. That is a special Gans. That it's like it processes a lot of things. Try it and see what happens. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical advice. But people who want to experience Gans technology can make that first, where here, when I gave earlier, this is how you make the CO2 zinc Gans. To make 1 cup, 1 life, you add one thing different. You add another copper. There's 3 pieces of information you have here. Let me see if I can grab the other 3rd piece I have. Here we go. You got 3 pieces of information right here. And you can connect like 3-way like this. See on top right here? Connect the 3 together. Then you have like this. You have the nano copper in the middle. You have the zinc in one side, and you have the regular copper on the other side. And when you put in solution like this with a 15% salt solution, you come up with amazing things. You have within it not just the zinc Gans, but the CO2, that which is basic. Then you have the copper Gans because you have copper in it. Then because you have the salt and the water, zinc and salt, you also create magnesium. You'll create calcium in there, because cancer is calcification of the cell. Calcium Gans will drain the extra calcium. Again, cancer is calcification of the cell. That's when you have calcium Gans. You have to drain that energy package out. So when you have that 1 cup, 1 life, it does a lot of things, because like I said before, magnesium, calcium, potassium, zinc, CO2, copper, a lot of energy in there to help balance the whole human body spirit complex that we have right now, and try that out and see how it works. It's that simple with the 3 pieces. Now I should go into, I explained before how to make the Gans, but we skipped the nanomaterial part. To make nanomaterial, you can go to KF Vietnamese or KF Vietnamese YouTube, where you have Armin shows how to make the nanomaterial using hot caustic, which is very easy. You take a container, like a 5-gallon bucket, you put a chicken mesh on top and on the bottom with you get some legs, and the mesh, bend it to create some legs, let's say about 1 inch high, and you put the caustic down the bottom. Make sure it's high-grade caustic, not lye. Those have a lot of impurities in it, like sodium hydroxide, which is caustic. Then you have potassium hydroxide. So you use the two combination, sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. 80% sodium hydroxide and 20% potassium hydroxide. And you put enough down the bottom of the bucket to cover the bottom layer, just so you don't see the bottom anymore. Pour hot water into it. Before you pour hot water into it, lay the copper you want to nano on top of that mesh, and pour the hot water in there. Cover up lid quickly. Remember, do not breathe in the caustic vapor. It's very harmful, especially the hot vapor. Do not breathe in. Remember to wear your N95 face mask and goggles before you go making Gans. All your safety procedure in place. When you put the hot water in, close it up really fast. Just put enough water to cover the bottom to melt the caustic. You don't have to put a lot. Don't put it more than 1 inch above, just half an inch, or just a little bit to dissolve all the caustic in there. And the steam itself will nano the copper. And leave it in there for at least a week, better a month. After a month, you take the lid out, uncover a little bit, the little gap. With that little gap, it will nano slowly, because when you take the lid out completely, it will dry too quick that the nano layer will not be that great. So let it dry slowly for the next 3 days. And during that 3 days, you learn how to polarize, meaning, because when you nano material to caustic, the energy go every show direction. When you polarize it with this device, voltmeter, then it drains the energy out and create a flow of energy that is in one direction, so it flows better. You just put in the voltmeter in 20 millivolt, put it in the door, measure the voltage. Ask Google how to use the voltmeter, and it'll show you how to measure the volt. So when you measure the volt, you have the negative down the mesh, the positive on the copper, and just leave it a few seconds, and do that like twice a day for 3 days in a row. Then you create a good flow of energy within that nanomaterial. Voila, it's much better, it's more efficient that way. And you can learn how to do that on Google it online, or go to KF Vietnamese YouTube, and I've shared how to do that. KF Vietnamese website, I also share how to do that information if you want to go further down. So that is the hot caustic. There is also the cold caustic method, or the warm caustic, where you can have this wire right here. You have it in a container like this, and you just hang it in there, and just drill a hole, and just put a wooden spike pole, something across a bar to hold it there, and just hang the copper inside, and put the lid tightly. And before you do that, you take the spray bottle, 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon of caustic, put in a 1 liter spray bottle, and put in the still water to dissolve it completely. Shake it up well, and spray this copper like 2 or 3 times, and put it in there. Tight up the container, put it outside in the sun to nanocoat for like a month. You have a very dark black layer. It takes just a few hours to be completely black, but the longer you put in there, the better the quality, because you're trying to get at least 40, because nanomaterial has about 30 to 50,000 layers of nanomaterial. So the longer you leave out, the better. And you follow the same process. After a month, just loosen the lid, open it slightly, and let it dry slowly. Then polarize it the same way you do with the hot caustic. And that's how you do the warm or the cold caustic method. It's less hassle, less fume to worry about, and just have to spray it with using a squirt bottle to spray it into the container. And make sure you use high density plastic, because it's the caustic eats away at the plastic. So normally you do glass, it would be better, or a thick plastic. Don't use cheap plastic. In Vietnam, we have cheap plastic, and the caustic just eats away very easily, and the container becomes cracked. When it cracks, you have oxygen come in, and the nano process is not that great, because you have air coming in. because the poor quality of the plastic. So use high density HDPE plastic. That should be good enough. And that is just briefly going over how to do the nanomaterial. You can go more detail within the website, explain more in detail. Right now, I'm just going briefly over how to do the cold caustic, hot caustic, and you can also use this is fire. For making Gans, the caustic method is better because it creates a better layer. To make McGrath paint pen, then you can use both, either the caustic or the fire method. The fire method is very quick and easy. With this copper, just when you have the blue flame, go over quickly because the copper here is very thin and it heats up very quick. When it becomes red hot, that's no good. The layers come out very, very fast. It flakes very easily. So when you put the tip of the blue flame on this copper, go really fast. Go one direction only. Remember, just go one direction, keep going over. Then after like a minute, you have a nice black layer. When it's cooled down, become brown. That is acceptable enough to use. And you can use that to make Gans for first time experience, for quick experience, without having to go through all the hassle of the cold caustic and hot caustic and have to wait all that time. You can use the flame, the torch what I have. In Western countries, you can go to the store and buy the torch on top. It's not that hard. Home Depot has it for $4 for the cheap one, $40 for the more expensive one. But this one in Vietnam costs about $5, $6, $7, between $5 and $10, depends on what kind you get. And that's one way to quickly nano coat. If you don't have that thing, you can always cause it by fire. Above the gas stove, do the same thing. Just move the copper in one direction. On the fire outside, do it one way. This depends on circumstances. If you're in survival circumstances, then you have to use the fire. If you are in a country where you have a gas stove instead of electric stove, use a gas stove burner that way. It works as well. A match. You smoker people. Now smoke this. Just put the smoke, the lighter, and just go one direction. Done. A few times, then you have adequate enough. That's one to make fire caustic. And fire method is very easy doing with fire. And try it out. Try both the caustic method, the fire method, to see the difference how the Gans come out. And this is just an introduction overview, the theory and practical application. Once the other video, we go more into details on the specific process and what's more involved. But for those that want to learn more in details, again, can go to Google online. There's many resources. Keshe Foundation, well, Keshe Foundation website have a few things, but on Vietnamese YouTube has a lot of information there for you to go through and learn how to do that. The website again is kfvietnamese.space. Go there to learn and to see a lot of other things and how to apply in agriculture and health and a lot of information you can get on the website. So the purpose of today is just to give the theory and how you want to make and why we're making this Gans technology. It's again, a recap. Gans technology is a tool to help us, to help understand the bigger picture, meaning why is Keshe teach people about Gans technology? One, so we understand about fuel plasma. Gans technology helps people to understand the fuel plasma. When you understand about the fuel plasma and the interaction, then you start to understand about the soul. So it is the foundation, the building block to understand about the soul teachings and the creation of the universe and everything else. So the fuel plasma from the Gans is what we're trying to teach people, to share with people, to see, to open this perspective, to see about what this Gans is. It's a tool to help us understand about the universe, the benefits of our health, for agriculture, for energy, study the side effect. It is not the main purpose of the Gans or its main function. The main function of the Gans is to shift our perspective, to see the universe interact to McGrath using magnetic gravitational field, fuel plasma interaction, not matter states. That's why when the sun rotates around the galaxy or our planets, the planets rotate around the sun, it does not use a motor, it uses field interactions. And that's what Gans technology is trying to teach people, how the universe works at the basic level. through understanding field plasma interaction. That's one reason. The second reason to teach this thing is so that people understand about the soul. That is two major reasons why. So when people are trying to get caught up into, okay, this we have nano the copper, this all the BS drama about copper nano and the specific is irrelevant. You make Gans any possible ways, it works. It's just a tool to help us understand the bigger picture. Don't get caught up in the technicality of it. If people want to go deeper into details, how to optimize anything, great, that's good for them. But if we look at the bigger picture, it's a tool to help us understand about ourselves, our relationship with the universe, how things work, then we understand the bigger picture and just take that, it works. I don't have to be, works 110%. As long as I understand and it helps me, great. And don't get so caught up on the technical side of what the best way to nano, best way to make Gans. Don't get caught in a game. Look beyond that and move beyond that. Take it as a stepping stone to learn, to expand your mind on other things, to enhance your biological and spiritual evolution. I think that's it. I mean, there are other things, but we leave it for another video. So those that I thank everyone for attending, and those that will be watching, if those that are here have any questions, feel free to ask. If I know, I can share. If not, good luck in researching it. But we're always looking, we're always trying to learn. And if you have anything, feel free to type and to share. If not, then we can move on to the next one, because there's a lot of things to learn, and it is just the basic. One main thing is to remind people is that when making Gans, our intention is very important. Once later on, when we get to a certain level, when we understand, we don't need this Gans anymore. Once we understand about the power of mind, the power of our intention, and how we can dictate and manipulate energy around us just by our thoughts, then Gans become irrelevant. But until then, this is a good stepping stone to learn about how things work, and a good tool to help us on our way to self-mastery, to become enlightened, to see how, understand how the things work in the universe. So I guess nobody here is typing anything, and I guess everybody understood everything, which is great. Then I'll see you in the next live stream. Thank you, everyone.